Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today we're discussing a watch launched in 2001 in a collection of 6,000 pieces. This is the Omega Speedmaster Reduced Michael Schumacher, also known as the Speedmaster Reduced Racing. Formerly, this was part of the Schumacher series. As you can see, a signature and world championship on the reverse side, but it also revived the racing dial design from the late 60s and 1970s as featured on Omega Moon watches and Mark IIs. So this is a very cool watch that draws together a lot of different threads of Omega history, including that of the Speedy Reduced, which for many is the Speedy to own. Stainless steel, 39 millimeters in diameter. The Speedy Reduced dates back to the 1980s. It's a smaller, more wearable, and automatic winding Speedmaster. 39 in diameter, 12.5 thick, 44.8 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and then 18 millimeters is the spacing between the lugs. Now, of course, 2000 was the first of Michael Schumacher's 5 consecutive titles with Scuderia Ferrari, and of course, he's best known for that. He has 7 titles overall if we count the Benetton years. Initially, during the 1990s, Omega launched a series of 3 Schumacher Speedy Reduceds, yellow, red, and blue, representing his time at Jordan, yellow, Benetton blue, and Ferrari red. This is the beginning of the fat years for Schumacher when he could do no wrong, and the watch is important historically on that basis. But like every Speedy Reduced, it wears beautifully on a smaller wrist. And on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see it's nowhere near the edge. Even from over the top, you can see just how much clearance I've got. And although it does have an outcropping in the form of the tachymeter bezel, it'll still slide underneath dress cuffs, no problem. And I could recommend this watch for him or for her. Lady fans, start your engines. This is a watch that'll wear on a wrist as small as 13 centimeters in circumference. Again, mine is 16. The bracelet is a lovely piece. It's almost more of a dress bracelet than a sports bracelet, somewhat like the Rolex President. It has a 3 primary link design with staggered alignment and then somewhat ovoid cross sections. Outer faces are polished, shoulders are satinated, then we have these little polished intermediates and then the center links in polish. Now you can see that removable links are fixed by pins and sleeves, so if you want to size this watch at home, you'll need a block and punch to do so, but sizing is made easier because there are 6 pairs of divots drilled into the clasp, so there's a spring bar in there, and using your strap tool you can move the anchoring point of the bracelet inside and out. You can see just how deep and distinct the engraving remains here. This watch has led a charmed life with little refinishing, and that to a high professional standard. You can see just how sharp the original engraving is on the clasp. That's usually the first thing to go. The case is well known. It is like a mini moon watch. So we have lyre-style lugs with the inward as well as the outward bevel, thin satin-finished mid-case with a lug-to-lug polished bevel. We have a sheer guard profile for the crown as well as chronograph pushers. And you know you're looking at a modular chronograph when the center line of the pushers is that far above the center line of the crown. But this is an excellent modular movement. We'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. The outer face of the bezel is polished, and then the top is a anodized aluminum tachymeter insert, which can be used for, among other things, gauging the speed of a race car over a kilometer, outstanding on a racing-themed watch. Now, here's the racing dial. You see it says racing at center, but what it refers to is this sort of checkered flag stagger, a combination of white and red and orange highlights. It does look a little bit like the checkered flag that signals the end of a race. You could also consider it to be a calibration that is friendly to those who need to distinguish fractions of seconds, and it was featured on moon watches as well as Speedmaster Mark IIs in the late 60s and 1970s. So that's where this design actually comes from. We've got a dial base that is black with sunken sub-registers. You can see they had another focal plane, they're dished, and then we have white varnished hands. We'll do a quick loom shot here. This is well after Omega transitioned from tritium to luminous Supernova. So you can see this one still glows just fine, no issues there. But the Speedy Reduced didn't get a sapphire crystal until 2006. So you see here we have that thermoplastic Hesselite, just like the Big Brother Moonwatch. Now the watch does include a vertical clutch chronograph because the module that's used, a Dubois de Praz module, it is a vertical clutch engagement. So when you start the chronograph, there's no jump or stagger. It starts seamlessly because unlike the standard Moonwatch, which has a lateral clutch, this uses the more sophisticated vertical clutch engagement. On the reverse side, you can see individual numbering. Again, this is a testament to how well this watch has survived. All of the engravings, all of the lacquering remain dark and distinct and super sharp. Underneath the case back, we have Omega Caliber 3220. It's a ETA 2892A2 automatic with a Dubois de Praz module on top. So it's a bidirectional winder with a 40 to 42 hour power reserve. It does have a hacking or stop seconds function. If you pull the crown, you stop the movement, and now you could set it to a reference time. It beats away at 4 hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour, and all of this is water resistant to 50 meters. It's a watch that represents a moment in time when Scuderia Ferrari was at its peak and Michael Schumacher was entering the golden era of his career. It was a little bit frustrating as a period if you were a fan of anyone but Ferrari. That said, if you're Tifosi, I can't think of a better watch to relive the glory days, and a very cool piece of Omega Speedmaster history to boot. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing history, as well as details on this or any Watchbox watch.